All right, guys, so you're thinking in this market, in this gold rush real estate market that we've been experiencing the last 2 or 3 years, that you want to buy a house, you want to renovate it, and you want to sell it. Some people call it flipping, some people call it renovation, whatever you want to call it. You want in on this. Well, these are the four biggest mistakes that first time home renovators make when they're on their first project. Stick around. Okay, I think the first mistake they make is when you're just starting out in this business, they buy their home first. Let's just hook up on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, or whatever, get an agent on the MLS, and let's just get this house first. So many first-time renovators get their property, get their house, and they have nothing in place. They don't have an architect in place. They don't have a contractor in place. If they're the contractor, they may not have HVAC, plumbing, or electricity, or one of the few things that they don't do in place. And you're wasting so much time now that you have this house, now that you're incurring the holding costs, now that you're in debt. So the worst thing that you can do is find a house first. You need to build your team. And I'm going to do a video later, probably next week, about the team that you need in place. If you can't wait for that video, reach out to me and we'll talk more about it. The next mistake that people make, and listen, I have to be careful when I say this because I'm a listing agent as well, but I think going to the listing agent, so many renovators, they think, oh, I'm just going to go to the listing agent and I'll hash out a deal with them. And that's cool, that's fine. But sometimes I think that that's not the best option, and I'll explain why. You have to understand the listing agent represents the seller. Their primary duty is to sell that home for a price that the seller wants. And so when you're going in there, that is their primary focus. Legally, that's the contract. They are there to represent the seller. Okay. And I always say to people, if you're in a courtroom, you don't really want to be defended by the prosecuting attorney. And again, I think that's a bit much, but I don't know. So you go in there and the listing agent's doing everything they can. They're showing you the comps that they think the house will sell for to try to get you to buy that house for the number their seller wants. And sometimes those comps aren't reflected on the house. Always remember this. There's a top tier luxury home in the area that you're renovating, and there's also a second tier luxury home. And a lot of times what those top tier have, you don't really see on the MLS sheet. They might need a big foyer, a massive grand staircase, and this house may not have. I can't tell you how many calls I got from renovators that have a house on it. It's on for 1.5 million. Let's just throw a number out there. And when you really delve into the comps, it's a $1.3 million house. Now it's $200,000. If you're going to go through the listing agent, you really need an agent or an appraiser or someone you trust that gives you proper comparables that you can properly evaluate the resale of that house after it's renovated. Okay. It's a mistake that I see that happens a lot. There's no harm in bringing a buying agent with you. There usually is a commission negotiated. If there's not, you will negotiate it and it will reflect in your offer. Not that big of a deal. And it's nice to have somebody that's looking out for you, primarily for you. All right. The next mistake. You really need to be 100% accurate with the costs you're going to incur when you're renovating this house up to when you sell it. When I take first-time renovators out, I can tell how experienced they are when they tell me what it's going to cost them to renovate this house. You can't be using numbers that were appropriate 2 years ago. You just need to keep in constant contact with your contractor or with the workers that you're using and to make sure you're getting the proper costs it would take to renovate this house. And also, you need to take into account so many other variables here. The utilities you're going to use to renovate this house, the electric, maybe gas, the sewer costs, all that can add up to about, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000, depending on how long it takes you to renovate. Don't forget that. If you have a hard money loan, if you're not going full cash, then there is a monthly cost for keeping that loan intact. That could be anywhere up to $10,000 a month, depending on how the size of the house you're renovating. And if it's a big project and it takes you 9 months to renovate the house, then that's a big cost. And do not forget the property taxes. Now, some property taxes, they're around $6,000 in New Jersey, but you could get a house, this massive estate, and it's like anywhere from 20 to 30,000. That's a big number. You got to take into account every single dime that you are spending to renovate this house. And just know this, no matter how good you are, there's probably going to be about 10 or 15,000 more or 5 to 10% more in costs, because once you start renovating a home, once you start opening everything up, there's going to be some things that present themselves to you that you're like, oh no, I got to fix that as well. All right. So you just got to be really solidly accurate on your initial costs. All right. The last mistake, I feel everyone makes this, is they do not realize that once you buy a home and you're going to renovate it, you are in partnership with the township. Yeah. I make this statement because of this. The township has to approve everything. Now, if it's a basic renovation, you're just going in there and making it look pretty. The problem is with those houses, you're competing with home buyers who want to live there. So those houses are more difficult to get than the houses that need a lot of work. When you get a house, you need to turn up at that township, introduce yourself. If you know the township, great, but let's be honest, renovators are trying to get houses anywhere. So a lot of times the township where they get their house in is not one they're used to. Not all townships are the same. They all require different things. They all have a different, checks and balances that you have to go through when you're renovating a home. You want to turn up at that township. You want to talk with them, tell them what you're going to do, and then you want to create this relationship, and then they'll start telling you everything you need in place. The adage or the saying that do something now, ask for forgiveness later is the worst thing that you can do with the township. Because trust me, they will make you take it down. They will make you rip it down and redo it. So know this. You give yourself 3 months to renovate a house. If you've got a good relationship with the township, the zoning and the permits that you have to open and everything that, they have to bring all their inspectors there before you close things up, before you finish things, to approve everything before you can move on to the next step. That can add maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month to your renovation if your relationship is good with the township. So, know when you listen, when you say, oh, I can do this in 2 months, I can do this in 3 months, add 2 weeks to a month for everything that the township needs, because you are in a partnership. I repeat again, you are in a partnership with the township. It's just like costs. You want to add 5% for anything that you don't know is happening. You want to add about 2 weeks to a month to your time, because the longer it takes you to renovate the home, the more costs you incur. If you do not have a good relationship, this can put a big delay on things. Just know this, townships are very reasonable, they're easygoing, and once they know that you respect them and follow their rules, they're really helpful and they'll work with you, all right? So that's it. That's the 4 biggest mistakes. Now listen, there's a lot of other mistakes that happen. These are the ones that I run into the most. If you find you're renovating a home and there's a mistake that you've made or something that you've learned, comment below. If you have questions for me, reach out to me, DM me, comment below. And you know what I'm going to say? Everyone says this, every YouTube video. Please like, please subscribe. Look out for my next video. And all right, guys, have a good one.